feel like your leads are just drowning in sticky notes, post-it notes, spreadsheets, and it's all just chaos? Well, imagine if you could have one simple system that fixes all of that. Well, that's what we're doing today. We're talking about the OmniSAM way tagging system. So drop a little emoji in the chat if you're ready to simplify your systems and start to understand, how do I actually tag my CRM in a way that isn't death by tags? So thank you all for joining us. We are on our weekly live stream. As always, we're going to do our little dance party before we kick off today's episode as we wait for all of our VIPs to jump into the VOZ. But let me know in the chat, are you drowning in leads and sticky notes and post-it notes and spreadsheets, and you would like a way to simplify that? Then let us dig on in. All right, and the VIPs are talking to each other, but they can't hear me. I will organise that in the break. I know, they're all talking to me in the breakout room. All right, I'm going to fix that, and I'll be back after the countdown.
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art. You should know that you are perfect with those flaws. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Know that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine, shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Shine. Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine, shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares
beautiful humans. How are you all? I'm Sally Sparks Cousins. I'm your automation nerd, tech queen, strategy and sexy number lover. And I'm your guide when it comes to making life simple and easier and save you loads of time with automation. And today we're diving into tagging made easy using our OmniSAM way system. Now, I'm going to show you why tagging is going to be a game changer and also what common mistakes that you need to avoid when you're tagging things, because otherwise you'll end up with death by tags, and also how to simplify your systems for good, right? So, are you ready to use tags in your business? If so, drop a yes below. If no, well, put that in below as well. I'm happy. But let's be real, right? Most businesses start out with pretty good intentions, but tagging is not the thing that it often gets thought about and even done, really. And what ends up happening is, well, lots of people's tags just end up looking like spaghetti. It's a bloody mess. And I can tell you, a lot of the time when we get new clients, when I look through their system and I see their tags, it's actually easier for us just to rebuild the whole thing properly than it is to kind of figure out that whole mess of spaghetti. Now, I know because when I started, I was just using Post-it notes and spreadsheets to organize and segment my list. And almost everything that I tried just slowly died. And then when I started to learn automation, I just started to use tags, right? I would just add random tags for everything. One just said lead. One just said, PDF. And then over time, I had a few thousand tags and I had no idea what half of them even did anymore. Now, that was until I actually discovered this tagging system that I'm about to share with you. We call it the OmniWAY tagging system, and it really helped me to take more control over how I organize all my leads, how I set up my reporting dashboards, and also it gives me an insight into the things that people have opted into, what their profiles are, their demographics and psychographics. So let me ask you, have you ever looked at your CRM and thought, it's kind of like an archaeological dig, right? I'm trying to find something, but I just don't know where anything is. And if that's you, put SOS in the comments. If that's you, you're just in that CRM and you just really can't find those different segments. You see, the power that you have with proper tagging is that it gives you a clear system. Also, it enables you to better follow up, and also it will also help you get more sales because well, my book says it all. A little bit of a shameless plug there. The fortune's in the follow-up, right? So tagging actually becomes one of the foundational things that you need to get in place to allow you to scale your business without totally losing your mind. And when I finally found this way, and look, I'm going to tell you, I didn't invent it. I discovered it through a guy called Tyler Garnes, and sure, I've added my own sparkle to it, but that way in which you tag was exactly what I needed to be able to know exactly where all the leads were, with no guessing, no digging around, trying to find where they are. Now, if you're feeling overwhelmed by your CRM or even your digital tools, it's not because you're actually bad at business. It's usually because your system itself isn't supporting you, right? Now, the OmniSAM way will give you a really simple tagging structure. So you'll always know, 1, who your leads are, 2, what they've done, 3, what psychographics and demographics they have, and also what steps come next. And look, I can tell you, when I implemented this system, when I first learned automation, it was like getting this amazing Maserati, right? You know that it's going to run like a dream. It's going to take you to all the places and you're going to look pretty sweet doing it. But it comes in a box with no instruction manual, and you've got to kind of figure it all out yourself. But if you're somebody who's ready for a really simple, repeatable way to manage those leads better, then type yes in the comments and let me know, because what I'm going to share with you now is 4 keys to tagging the OmniSAM way. All right, so these are what I call your 4 commandments. So if you're joining us on the podcast, I'm just swapping across to another screen to write my notes on the screen. You can certainly come across to YouTube and come and find me. But for now, if I can find my little mouse here, let's talk about OmniSAM way and what are the 4 commandments. So number 1 is, the first rule is always follow the 4 commandments. Okay, it's very important. That's why it is number 1. Number 2 is use the 6 core tag types. And we'll get into what they actually are. Number 3 is stick to clear naming conventions. Now, if you've been around me for any length of time, you know I am very pedantic about naming conventions for files, for tags, for funnels, for forms, for literally everything has to follow the correct naming conventions. And then the 4th rule, which is important so you don't end up with death by tags, is to clean up tags regularly, so that you don't end up creeping back into chaos. So tell me, which of these 4 things that you see here, 1, always follow the 4 commandments, 2, use the 6 core tag types, 3, stick to clear naming conventions, and 4, clean up your tags regularly, which of these 4 things gives you the biggest sense of, oh, that's going to be a relief? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Pop it in the chat below. Let me know. If you're multitasking, come on back, because now we're going to be digging in to the actual rules beyond this. Okay, so this is, well, actually, no. I digress, guys. I digress. The first things I gave you was 4 rules, and I'm about to give you the 4 commandments. So let's do that. So for Ma, if you're editing this, can you put this above the 4 commandments? I'm going to share with you now 4 key rules that really you need to use when you're thinking about your tagging system. So again, there are 4 key rules. let's dig into those. All right, now, Ma, we are going to talk about the actual 4 commandments. Oop, my little pen is doing some weird things. Oh, now it's starting to type what I'm saying. Go away. Let's try that again. Okay, commandments. 4 commandments. So, number 1, no tag shall ever be created without a category. No tag should ever be created without a category. 2, no tag shall ever be created without following specific naming conventions. And we'll give you those actual naming conventions soon. Number 3, every tag's name shall declare its function. Every tag's name shall declare its function. And commandment number 4 is all tags start with your category name. So category name at the start. So they're your 4 commandments. I hope you're jotting all of this down. I can see my VIPs with their head down and they're writing. That makes me extremely happy. All right. So now that we know what the 4 commandments are, let's now talk about what are the 6 standard tags. All right, 6 standard tags. So the first one is what we call a trigger tag. So a trigger tag, these tags are used to trigger an action. So generally, it kicks off a workflow, or it stops a workflow, or it loops a workflow. So again, a trigger tag triggers an action, generally in a workflow. Now, these tags are temporary, okay? So they're temp tags. And the rule for the trigger tag is that it must be removed straight away. Now, the reason why it gets removed straight away, because it's triggered an event. Now, if we leave that trigger tag on the contact's record and then they redo that event again, we can't add a tag that already exists. So therefore, whatever actions that it triggers, it won't happen. So the rule for a trigger tag is it gets put on, it will trigger some type of event, and then immediately it must be removed after the action has been completed. Now, the types of trigger tags that you will find are start trigger tags, stop trigger tags, and loop trigger tags. All right, so that is your trigger tags. And in regards to your naming convention, because you've always, remember our rules, we have always got to start with a category. So it would be called a trigger tag at the beginning and then space dash space. And then you would say in the middle what it's for. So for example, it could be clicked to open email, right? But maybe you would definitely say, this is just me making it up off the top of my head, but click to open or some type of action, which then might trigger something else. And then at the end, it's purpose. And this could be to start an automation, or it could be to stop an automation. So, for example, if an email went out and it said, click here to register, and you had a trigger event that registers them, right? Then it would start that event. But the other thing you could do is you could have it as a stop tag for the invitation emails. There's other ways to use it. We can use goals and things like that. But one thing I'll say is OmniSAM has lots of ways to trigger events, not just using tags. But a lot of other CRMs don't. And this is where you will find you will use trigger tags a lot. So back when I used to build for Kajabi and I used to build for Keep, I used trigger tags like, so many starts and stops and loops, because there wasn't as many options in the workflows to start and stop and loop like there is in OmniSAM. But it's definitely still really important to know what a trigger tag is, especially if you're integrating through other systems. For example, say you are using a third-party app and you do an event over there, and then you need to trigger an event in OmniSAM, you could use a tag to do that through an API. All right, so that's tag number 1, trigger tags. Let's talk about tag type number 2. This one is activity tag. Now, the activity tag, this is used to tell you an action a human has taken, okay? An action a human has taken. And the rule for an activity tag is they are permanent, which means once on, they don't come off. However, as your time grows using tags, you may find that your activity tags, people are opting in for, say, a freebie in July, and then the same freebie again in August, and then they have a lot of times that they've opted in, and you've got those set up. What I tend to do is once a year, I'll consolidate all of my activity tags for the year. So everyone who downloaded that PDF in 2023 would all be grouped together, rather than those people who, opted in different months. A challenge, our live challenges and live webinars are a very good example of this, because we like to see, when we're running a paid promotion, how many leads did we have come in for June, July, August, September. And then at the end of the year, I just want to know how many I've had for the year, right, when I get a few years down the track. So when you come to the rule, it's permanent, but you can consolidate and archive after, 12 months usually is when I'll do that. Now, the naming convention that we use, again, always starts with the actual type. So it would start with activity, space, and then the specifics. Okay, so what is the specific information? So it could be a membership join, or PDF download, or challenge registration, or whatever. Okay, so you want to put what is the specific thing, and then it ends with the type, which could be, and the different types that you'll use in an activity tag is purchased, downloaded, and registered, attended, clicked. Okay, so can you see a pattern here? It's an action a human has taken. Another one I would use usually is opt-in. So registration for me is if they're registering for an event, but an opt-in is when they're, requesting a free downloadable. Okay, so purchased, download, registered, opt-in, attended, or clicked are a few examples of that. Other things could be like cancelled, right? If they've cancelled their membership, could be another one as well. All right, so that's number 2. Let's move into number 3. The third one is a status tag. Now, a status tag, these are based off the contacts, psychographics, and demographics, or where the contact, sorry, I digress. That is not a status tag. I'm not there yet. It's not psychographics and demographics. So, Ma, again, remove this from the podcast, please. Ma, thank you. Status tags. Status tags are used to tell you where people are in a certain process. So what status are they at? So the rule is generally there's usually only one status tag. Now there can be 2 or 3, but they're generally in different phases of the customer's life cycle. But try to stick to the rule of keeping one status tag per campaign or per process. So also status tag rules are, they are temporary, and you try to only use one status tag per campaign or per process. Now, the naming convention for a status tag, of course, always starts with the word status space dash, and then what is the campaign or the process that they're in. Okay, so some examples of this for the naming conventions could be status, space dash space, sales, space dash space, pipeline stage, space dash space, and I'm just trying to think of my stages. Negotiation. So they're in the negotiation stage, or they're in replying. So they're at least at the first, they're not a cold lead, they're now replying. Or they've booked an appointment, right? So a status tag in regards to a sales pipeline can also be linked to where they are within the sales stage. Another example of a status tag could be product related. So their status tag for a product could be that they've registered for software and they're in the onboarding phase. And then they move to the orientation phase. And for us, they would then move to the business in a box implementation phase. You see where we're going with this? Now, another one could be payment declined. So, for example, you would do status, space dash space. Then I would say, what type of contact is it? So are they a VIP? For us, it would be, are they software? Are they elite? Or are they done for you? And then you would do, say, accounts receivable, and then payment failed, or retrying, or insufficient funds, right? So we can segment that way as well using a status tag. So as you see, it helps them move through. If we go back to lead generation, so stage 1, a status tag for lead generation could be status, of course, space dash space, and then the name of the campaign, space dash space, and then promo series, right? So they're in the promo series. Once they've registered, then they would be in the registered status. And now you're trying to move them to, say, attend status, right? So that way, again, we're seeing them as they progress through the campaign. So let me just recap on the naming conventions, because I'm remembering all of these as I go. I should have written myself better notes. But for status tags, the naming conventions is usually status, space dash space, campaign, space dash space, and then whatever the status itself is. So promoing, in promo series, they go from promo to registered to sales campaign to booking. So it depends on each of the steps through your funnel. The other one is status. What are you doing, crazy computer? I think it's reading my hand touches as well. The next one is process status that we spoke about. So what is the process they're in? So that could be in relation to payments, right? And then the status for the payments. And then the other one I forgot to say was status, space dash space, the contact and the group and the department, and then the status. So the example of that one would be status. The contact would be a VIP. The group could be a membership. The department could be the sales department. And the status is sales booked or a sales call booked, right? So that is your examples for status. Now, generally the type that you find on the end of status are the actual access level. So what level of access do they have? What status they are, or what process they're going through. All right. So those words on the end. So you'll always start with the word status, and then it'll follow with either the campaign name or the process name or the contact, group, and department. And then it usually adds on the end the actual status itself, which we just discussed. All right, next one, number 4. Number 4 for tagging is, and this is the one that I started explaining before, number 4, I need to have a look here on my little menu because it needs to say, turn drawer with finger off. There we go. So number 4 is profile tag. This one is your psychographics and demographics. So, and these are, if you know what psychographics are, is the way people think. Or demographics is, for example, like one of our clients who's a dog trainer, demographics could be a new puppy or an adult puppy, right? Now, the rules for a profile tag is 1, they are also permanent. And the profile tag defines who the contact is, regardless of the activity. So again, a profile tag defines who the contact is, regardless of the activity. So the naming conventions for a profile tag would be profile, space dash space, the category, and space dash space, and then the detail. So an example of that would be profile, space dash space, age, space dash space, 18 to 24 years. Now, the different types of profile tags, we discussed the first 2, which are demographics and psychographics. But also other ones are interests. Oh, I can't spell interests. Let's try that again. It doesn't really matter. My bits aren't working today. That'll do. Also, their pains. So what are their pain points? And their desires. So these are the things to think about. This, especially the pains and the desires, they will help you to segment your list to make your marketing more specific. So we're not just sending a blanket email out. If somebody has a higher pain point in, say, for example, systems versus logo creation or media asset designs, very different pain points, right? So we can segment, but then it allows us to truly make the stuff that we send out there not so generic, because we've spent the time to get to know people. And the reason we do that is because we care about people, right? We don't set up all of this automation so we don't have to talk to people. And we don't set up all of this automation so that everything runs on autopilot. You still have to work your business, but what it allows you to do, one, be more personal. Two, it saves you time. And three, it allows you to spend more time with actual humans because you're not stuck in all the weeds. All right, next, number 5 for the type of tags, and this is my sexy place, reporting. So reporting tags. So much of your core reporting will be generated from saved searches, such as status tags and also activity tags. But there will be times where you'll want to set up tags specifically just for reporting and reporting only. And these are your go-to, the reporting tags category. And the rules for your reporting tags are that they're only for reporting. They have no function when it comes to your status tags or activity tags or anything else. It is purely created for reporting. And the naming convention, of course, starts with the word reporting. Doing all sorts of weird things. Starts with reporting. Then you would add the campaign name, so you know what it is. And then, actually, it's reporting, campaign name, and then it'll either be a sequence. So what sequence are they in? Or what action are they in? Or what measurement are we recording? So some examples of this would be reporting, space, elite, space, and then membership joined is the action, space, and then the report type would be signed up today, and then signed up this week, and then signed up last week, and then signed up last month, and then signed up last year, or this year, and then last year. So it's a pretty complex looking automation when we build these reporting tags. But even though there's a lot of pieces in this automation, it's actually very, very simple. As in, when they first join, the today tag gets added. Then the week tag also gets added. And the this month tag and this year tag gets added. Then when one day is gone, it becomes yesterday and 3 days ago. And it just keeps changing that tag. And we can run some pretty cool reports off of these reporting tags. Now, that's just for sign up into a paid program, but you can also use this for new lead. So new lead, they're a new lead today, this week, this month, this year. And then in a day's time, it moves to yesterday. And in a week's time, it moves to last week. In a month's time, it moves to last month. In a year's time, it moves to last year. So these reporting systems are coming for the business in a box. It's a big build for us to do, but once it's done, it's done. But it is one of the steps in the business in a box that are coming that I'm building across from the old system. So it won't change everything that you have in the business in a box once you've built the whole thing, but it will get added onto the end of the business in a box without disrupting anything that you've made. All right, now the sixth and final tag is the temp tag, or as I like to call it, the whoops tag. So a temp tag is only used for a temporary purpose. So it could be, for example, searching for a specific list. So maybe you just need to put a list together for a single email mail out. Then you could create a temp tag to categorize them. The whoops one is, oh shit, sent the wrong workflow or shit, didn't stick them in a workflow, right? And then I'll need to group them and use maybe a temp then trigger tag or something like that to get them in. So quite often with my temp tags, they're a little bit of a whoops tag. Now the rules for a temp tag are they're deleted on a very regular basis. So that's in order to not cause confusion or slow down your system in any way. So anything that I create that I know I'm going to delete later, and this is just really for all parts of the system. If you're creating a temp form, a temp folder, a temp workflow, always put the word temp in it, because you know if you look at it and you can't remember what it's for, well then just delete it because it was made for temporary reasons. Now the naming convention for a temp tag always starts, of course, with the word temp. I actually do put 3 dots usually at the front. I don't know if they hold in OmniSAM. Then the next will be quite broad. So it could be like contacts. And then the next word is more specific. Okay, so it could be VIP registrants. And if you need to get even more specific, I said Pacific, not specific. More specific could be, what do we say? Broad would be temp, contacts, registrants. Then specific would be VIPs, and more specific might be they registered during the early bird special. Okay, now the thing with a temp tag, naming conventions aren't so important, but they do need to have the word temp in them. Sorry guys, just bear with me 1 second. I'm trying to find a charger because my computer's telling me it's about to die, or my iPad, sorry. Let's hope this is plugged in. Mar for the podcast again. Another bit there for you to delete. Thank you, my love. All right. Now, the type for these is really, they're usually just a short-term search. All right, so there are 6 core tags. Now, there are a couple of optional tags for you as well. Things like memberships or email subscription options, billing statuses, maybe access level. But for those of you who would like, I have a workbook for the tagging system, and I can share that with you if you're an elite. Just shoot us an email to support@omnisam.com.au, and I'll give you the complete workbook. I'll say it is branded for my old business, but it's all the same things. It might just reference different software. Now, the third thing I want to talk to you about is cleaning up your tags, because I bet a lot of you are now thinking, oh my God, what do I do with what I've already got, right? I don't know. Well, cleaning up your tags is really important. So these are the steps that you will need to do to clean up your tags. And this, as we always do, is our GSD action task today. Every strategy with Sally comes with an action task. So if you've been using a CRM for a while, your tags are probably not organized, right? Can I get a hell yeah in the chat if that's you? Right? But it's okay. I'm going to give you the steps for cleaning and organizing this process. So the first one is let's start to create your actual standardized tags. So have a think about activities, statuses, profiles. They're the three main ones that you will think of. Because remember, trigger tags, they just go on and go off. So we'll only use those tags as we build things. But activity tags, if somebody's opted in for different things. Now, if you've built the business in a box, you will have been shown one of the activity tags as well. Okay, so first thing to do is start to create standardized ones. And just think of your 6 core categories that we just went through. Then, once you've started to set those up, step number 2 is to sort. So it takes a little bit to sort your existing tags. It's doing weird things today. So when you go through your existing tags, what you'll do is you'll need to determine which ones can be easily sorted first into the 6 categories and then edit them. Okay, so go in to the actual editing section of the tags under settings and edit and rename them with the correct category and naming convention. Now, some tags you might have, you may find that you've created them multiple times for multiple functions. So if you're not sure what the tag actually is or what it triggers or what its goal is, or was it used for reporting purposes, or maybe it was used in a decision diamond to segment people or some other purpose, then for now, just leave it alone, right? While you go through and sort the rest. So step 2, sort existing tags, the ones you can figure out. Number 3, so is to determine where the tags are actually being applied. So once you've done all your sorting, you'll then need to figure out which of these tags may have been applied in any of your workflows. And you will need to go and check, one, that you change it to the new tag if it hasn't automatically changed when you've edited the tags. Even though I know in the old software that I used to use I would still go and check. Because better to check now than figure out and forget 6 months down the track and all the tags are wrong and you can't figure out why. So to do so, you if you can't work it out, come see us. We can help you with that. Okay, so number 3 is where are they applied? All right, next is number 4, determine which tags are goal tags. So goal tags, a tag is used for a particular goal that you want to occur. So for example, they, opened a contract. They signed a contract. Okay? Make sure that they don't have all of the goal tags. So that's like your activity tags or your profile tags or your status, mostly your status and your activity tags. because sometimes what I'll see is people forget to remove the multiple activity tags where they're the same thing, especially if, it was 2 years ago that you imported a list into OmniSAM for 2 years ago. You don't need that list for July 2023 and August 2023 and September 2023. Just put them all into one. The other one is with your status tags. Sometimes people forget to remove status tags. So you'll end up, say you're in a promotion and you've given them the opened and then clicked and then registered and then attended, right? You don't need all of those goal tags, right? You just need one strong activity tag, or if they're in a current workflow, one status tag for that actual automation. Now, the fourth one, fifth rule, or the fifth step, is to create a tag for every function. So the function is, it will be mostly in the activity side. So making sure that you have, they've opted in, they've registered, make sure you've covered all of those functions. So, back in the activity, what is the actual function? What did they do? And create any additional tags for future functions that you're going to have as well. It just makes building so much easier. So if you, for example, always run a monthly webinar, you could have activity webinar July 25 registered, right, for that activity tag, if you have those repeating functionalities that happen. So let's talk about a couple of best practices for this. So try not to over tag, right? Because you don't want to be spending loads and loads and loads of time creating lots of tags. So once you get through, and you remember all those tags we kind of set aside and we couldn't figure out, decide whether or not you want to keep them. And if you do, create an archive tag. So at the beginning, put the word archive in the actual category. And then if you want to leave the rest of the words that you had, leave those. But start it with the word archive. So best practice is the archive. Next, another good example of archiving, again, is when you might run that weekly webinar or you run the weekly lives, right? It is also important to shorten the amount of time that you have people in each of these groups. It keeps your list healthy, because when I send out emails, I will, if nobody's interacted or had another activity tag attached to their file for like 6 months, we're going to want to remove those people, right? We don't want to be sending those emails because it's not good for deliverability. And also you can consolidate as well, which we were talking about before. So another best practice is to archive and also consolidate. Now, when you're creating tags as part of a campaign process, there may be tags that need to be created and they're just separated into lots of different tags, and you have to create lots and lots of them. So if you've got multiple tags, what is going on with this? So with multiple tags, when you're creating them as part of a campaign process, make sure you use commas to separate the list to create more than one at a time. Okay, so if you're creating, and I don't know if that actually works in OmniSAM, I've got to have a look. I think you've got to create them one at a time and then click create. And then another one is keep an eye on those activity tags, right? Because sometimes these are the ones that you're going to consolidate and archive quite regularly if you're running ongoing, consistent campaigns. So often tags are created for registering and then attending and then booking a call, all for the one a promo, right? So watching those activity tags, and if they start to get really huge, think, can I consolidate and can I get archive? And you just stick the word archive on the front. And I would also definitely think, should I consolidate these as well? All right, so that is best practices for your tagging. So your GSD, should you choose to participate, is I want you to now clean your tags. So step number 1, you are going to start to create your standardized categories. Number 2, you're going to start to sort existing tags. 3, you're going to determine where they're applied. And then you can start to see if there are multiple goals and archive. So there we go. That is your GSD for this week. Now, next week, if you're loving systems and processes, which is the start of this week, we're doing Simplify Your Systems. Next week, I'm going to share with you a system we use for filing. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel or you turn on your notifications, because next week we're digging into organizing your whole digital world. And we'll be diving into the OmniSAM Way filing system. And in here, I'm going to show you how you can organize your folders and your files so you can find anything you need in under 30 seconds. And also how to keep your emails filed neat and clean. So you won't want to miss this. Now, if you've made it to the end of this video, then I want you to put replay right below so that I can send you a little sparkle your way. And if you would like first access to any workbooks and notifications for any of our live events, then make sure you head to our members area. And I did not provide the link, but I will. Let me go and copy it. I'll stick it in the chat so that you can join our free community. I'll drop that in the chat for you right here if you are not yet there. And if you want to just learn how to simplify your business and your systems more, then head to omnisam.com.au and get yourself a free trial of OmniSAM. And I'm going to say, next, we're continuing on this systems for next week using filing. So tell me in the chat, does that sound like something you're interested in? Are you coming next week? Put a hell yeah in the chat if you're going to be joining us next week for that. So thank you everybody for watching. We're going to get some feedback from those of you who are here in the room. And if you're out there on the live, then make sure you put replay below. So let us come to the VIPs. Raise your hand. Who would like to share a key takeaway from today? Let's have a look. I'm just going to call you up if you don't read this. Chris is unmuted. Chris, come on up.
Yeah, key takeaways. The actual naming conventions are really important. I mean, so when I created the spreadsheet to upload for my contact, they were all over the place. So I've got different roles. I've got whether in independent schools, whether in public schools, etc., which are really important aspects that I need to know. But it's now working out how I should be actually doing that, and can I ascribe more than one status to one person. So they could be in an independent school, but they
Yeah.
could be in a primary school.
That's
You know,
profile
so
tags. Yep. So you would put that under
yeah,
profile tags. Yep.
profile, not status. Yeah,
No,
okay.
not status, because status
Yeah,
is where they are in a process. A
yeah,
profile tag is what they
yeah.
are regardless of an activity or a status.
So I put some things in the chat.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'll scroll back. If anyone's got a question too, drop the Q in the chat because it makes it a little easier for me to find. All the tags I have added when, hang on, let's have a look here. So all the tags I've added when importing contacts had profile nature, status, role, principal, school, status, independent, primary, question, and then are these tags added automatically? No, they're not.
Not these. Are there automatically tags added in the workflows
We
created?
can, correct, yes. We can add those in to the workflows if they are clicking a box, right? So they would need to fill in a form to click a box, or you
Yeah,
could.
my question was more: are there tags created by you guys
No.
in OmniSAM which are automatically there?
No, we don't do the profile segmentation, but if you ask, we do.
No, I don't mean I don't mean this. I mean for other things. I mean so all the things that you guys have put together in business in a box for automation,
No.
etc.
No,
Okay.
we don't do the profile tags for business in a box because that would be more than just it's more of a questionnaire type event that would happen, or a quiz event, or a sales call questionnaire before they come in. Those types of things are more of a bespoke build that we would do because each business has different questionnaires or quizzes and things. But if you're running a quiz, we could look at the types of answers that they're answering in the quiz, and based off those, we could then automate the application of those profile tags for you or show you. I mean, you're done for you, so we can.
So going further from that, then the ones I've already put in there, such as independent, etc., etc. Can I easily modify those tags in the back end?
Yeah. So just go through settings and you will see tags in the left-hand menu. And once you get into there, just search for the tags you're looking for. And for those examples you gave, you would just create it as the profile naming convention.
And it will automatically update on the system.
It sure will.
Good, thank you.
Excellent. Deborah, come on up. What's a key? Oh, actually, Karen's already unmuted. Karen, what is a key takeaway for you? Let me make sure you're on screen.
Sally, I'm not too far off what Deborah was saying in the thing. I have not really worked with those naming conventions that I have got tags which we created right at the beginning, and they're fantastic for my two different cohorts. But I would say that today my understanding and realizing the importance of them has occurred. And now, I suppose that for me is I didn't realize I could actually change some of those things.
Yeah.
Although in my newsletters and that type of thing, my tagging that I've used, the team have actually helped me understand that a lot better because I realized they weren't being processed properly. So very good to test them is what I do know.
Excellent. Oh, that's so good. Look, so there's three really core things in regards to, I'm sure there's more, but there's three major core things we really want you to understand that eventually you can just list them without even looking at a cheat sheet. One is the 7 stages of the customer's life cycle. You want to be able to just say it out loud. Lead gen, stage 1, 2, indoctrination, 3, right? Keep going. The second one is the OmniWAY tagging system.
Okay.
And the third one is the OmniWAY filing system. Because when you start using those 3 systems, when you're looking for things or sorting things or segmenting things, you're going to find them quickly because there's only 6 core tags. There's only 7 major stages, and the filing system has 5 major areas that all the filing gets divided into. So that's coming next week. So learning these and knowing them off the top of your head, it's a very important system. That's why we put it everywhere. In the new Business in a Box course, I'm refilming the tagging. I'm not happy with today's recording. I'll go back because a lot of it I taught from my own personal knowledge versus preparing a little bit clearer. I'm hoping everything was pretty clear, but most of it was from my memory. As you could see, I messed up a couple of times on status and profile. I'm like, oh, wrong description. But all of these are in my old course. I just have to remake them so they look like OmniSAM. So everybody in the room, I would write that down. Remember, the way in which people are successful is
versus preparing.
RIM, repetition, immersion, modeling a proven practice. You don't just listen to this stuff once. Go back and watch them at least a dozen times. The reason why I was the #1 team builder in the country, or actually all of APAC, was because I learnt a system on how to recruit, and I listened to the system probably 200 times or more, driving, walking, everywhere, because I knew it was really important. Another system for later, which is beyond the scope of the automation and the software, is the sales call system, which we also teach, and that's in your beautiful ATC area of OmniSAM. It's pretty cool. But that's more of the larger framework, not the build area. Awesome.
What was the M? What was the M, please, Sally? Repetition, immersion, and
modeling proven practices. We do not need to reinvent the wheel. There's not very many original things in my brain that I've taught you. Like most teachers, right? We learn from somebody else and we teach it.
Yeah.
And the best way to learn is to teach. That's why I started teaching automations, because I really wanted to learn it. And now look at me. I run a bloody software company. Who would have thunk it? The chick that likes to play music and make art.
Can I ask a slightly digressed question, please?
Sure.
So, emails.
Mhm.
I am just so used to responding either on my phone, on Gmail, or Gmail on my computer.
Mhm.
And I know that good practice means I should be using OmniSAM, but I just find it, where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's taking me too long to do that.
So start using the conversations. So on the left-hand side menu, inside of OmniSAM, go to conversations. And in conversations, you're going to be able to see all types of conversations. Now, I can't share because of privacy, but you'll see if they've replied to an email, an SMS, a WhatsApp message, if you've got these things connected, a Facebook DM, Instagram DM, a web chat widget that you might have set up, it will create an additional conversation thread. So you'll see different options: email, SMS, Instagram, Facebook. That way you can see where they're replying from, and also you can reply back to them in the way they prefer, the places they check. Now, in the conversations thread as well, up the top, just like emails, you can filter by unread, by most recent reply, by SMS only or email only, and you can flag them as to-dos. You still will need to check Gmail, because the types of things that you'll get into Gmail will be your invoices and receipts. If a new lead has reached out to you, so they've emailed you but not replied to an existing email, right? That's where we use the two-way sync, so it sends it back into the inbox. Inside of your email, if you're replying backwards and forwards to a message that's come out of OmniSAM, you don't need to go into OmniSAM to continue the backwards and forwards. You can totally do that one in your email because it will sync for you. But best practice is, if you do it in the app, you add a note, because we have a rule in the team. If you do something for a client, you must add a note. So it could be just as simple as Chris jumped into the VOZ and asked help for XYZ, spent 10 minutes, solved, right? Or Sally I felt a little bit of creative avoidance. I went and created somebody's logo, which I shouldn't have done, which I did the other week. And she's like, isn't that out of scope? I said, oh, that's a thank you for being part of our test group. But everything you do, if I'm replying to an email, I'll quickly note, replied to email and just a quick note, because the tags and the notes are the first two things that I look at when I go to a customer's record to determine what's happened and what they've done. So, what status are they in? What activities have they done via tags, and any notes. When I worked for Centrelink, you were not allowed to talk to a customer or open a file without leaving a note on the record. Even if you accidentally opened the file, you still had to leave a note if you opened the wrong file. So, following those rules, which it's easy enough to say, but not as easy to practice, I can tell you that. Because half the time...
Are there any videos? Are there any videos guiding it all or not?
No, but we can totally walk you through our process and show you what we do and give you some examples privately, not on a live stream, and show you what we do.
Yeah, cool. That will be good.
I've even got a GPT that helps me to write my notes so that they're always consistent. So I've programmed it with the way I like my notes to look. So I'll show you that later when we go dark. Cool.
Yeah.
So who didn't I bring up? Have I brought you all up? There was, well, not all of you, because there's more of one of you. Deborah, that was the one I was going to bring up before. Yes, because I always do 3. Deborah, come on up.
Well, this was a few levels above my knowledge. Completely lost.
That's why you have us.
It's interesting. I mean, from a perspective of understanding a little bit about tagging, which I had no clue about, but I haven't got any lists yet. I haven't got anything. So I'm this isn't for this conversation, but I would really like to have a direction of, where to from now.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that today regarding what to do next.
Yes.
What I've taught today is just one of those 3 major foundational things that you will come back to time and time and time again. But when we go dark and we do Q&A, and for those of you who are out there on the live stream, I see there's quite a lot of eyeballs out there. If you're an elite or a done-for-you client, come on in, because we're about to go dark and do private Q&A. And I stay here until all questions are answered, unless the team has booked me in an appointment, and generally tell them not until after midday. So it gives me at least sort of 3 to 5 hours with you guys. This is my day with you. Now, before I head off, if you're still here at the end, right, you should put replay love or sparkle love in the chat, because you've sat through this entire live. I've just looked. It's an hour and 12 minutes. Well done, you. You must like us or something. But thank you so much for watching. I did drop a chat comment below before to join us in our GSD with OmniSAM community. If you want to try OmniSAM, you can grab yourself a free 14-day trial. Just head to omnisam.com.au. You'll be able to see a little demo on it, and also, register for that 14-day free trial. Tomorrow is demo day on the live stream, and tomorrow we're going to be talking and demoing global headers and global footers and what they mean for your website designs, and how it's going to save you so much time when it comes to building out all of your digital assets on the front end, that user experience, like website pages and funnels and etc. So join us tomorrow for demo day, where we will tackle global headers and footers. And then next week on Strategy with Sally, we are diving into the OmniSAM way for our filing system that we're going to share with you. Sticking with systems, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a fabulous day. Never let anyone dull your sparkle. Make sure you get at least one income producing activity done each and every day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you Better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long.